Welcome to the Human Factors and Ergonomics Hub, a series of educational podcasts that showcase the connection between human capabilities and good work design, brought to you by the Human Factors and Ergonomics Society of Australia. Hi, I'm Sharon Todd, a certified professional ergonomist and the current president of the Human Factors and Ergonomics Society of Australia. Today, I'm talking with Dr. Nektarios Karanikas. Dr. Karanikas is an Associate Professor in the Health, Safety and Environment discipline of the School of Public Health and Social Work in the Queensland University of Technology. He studied a Master's in Human Factors and Safety Assessment in Aeronautics from the UK, and following his graduation from the Hellenic Air Force Academy as an aeronautical engineer, he worked for 19 years as an officer serving in maintenance, safety, quality management, accident investigations, and as a lecturer in Human Factors courses. So, Nick, thank you for joining me today. I wanted to really ask you, how did you become an HFE professional? What got you interested in this field?
Hello, Sharon. Thanks for the invitation. It's a great honor to be in this third podcast of HFE. And actually, I entered the world of human factors quite by chance. So when I was back in the Air Force in Greece, an officer, so the Air Force was, let's say, giving scholarships every year for studying abroad, your master's. So I applied 1 year that was about very technical topic, turbine technology, and I was not successful. I didn't get the scholarship. I applied next year. They have, for the first time, a master's in human factors and safety assessment with a direction towards aviation, aeronautics. And they have 5 positions in one master's, and the other that was purely ergonomics, I think 3 positions. So I was successful with my application. I studied my master's in Cranfield University in the UK. And I'm so happy I did so because it changed my perspective. An engineer by trade, completely deductive logic. You know, what's wrong? Let's fix it. Let's repair it. Let's replace it. Put it back. You know, run a test. All good. So that's the mentality of the engineer. Everything well defined, well specified. And it was a great opportunity indeed because I realized so many things about human performance, about systems thinking, about many, many things I was not aware of. And that goes back in 2008, 2009. When I started my journey.
So your background, you've mentioned aviation, and I understand that you worked in defence. And this is an area. So this is an area with lots of rules and procedures. Is there room for good work design where there's lots of rules and procedures?
It's a nice question. We had a small debate yesterday with colleagues from HFE. So work design doesn't have to do with having a few or no rules at all. It has to do with what matches the environment and the needs of the work and the business, the organizational, directions, whatever. So although we always approach rules and too many procedures or bureaucracy as a bad thing, yes, I agree, it reduces flexibility. It's a bit uncomfortable. On the other hand, there might be contexts and situations where we need to have this, rigid procedure or rule to, and we cannot deviate from that. So I don't like blanket statements like too many or whatever number of rules and procedures are bad for work design or do not reflect a good work design. I would say as many as each context needs to make the design work. For example, if you go to a nuclear power plant and you work next to the core, okay, and you are a technician, you're a maintenance person, how many degrees of freedom do you have, you think, to do job crafting and to design your work? I wouldn't dare to think that the technicians next to the core,
Yes, but, neither me.
Yeah. So it's not something we should condemn by default. And we like, of course, these liberal approaches and, about let people think and create and design. Yes, in the appropriate context and with the appropriate boundaries. That's my point.
So with that in mind, what is good work design?
Good work design. Let's follow my engineering now, decomposition philosophy. Let's get the good. Good is not bad, is not perfect either. Okay. So good means that works for most of the people in most of the situations, in most of the conditions that we can foresee, that we know that exist, or we can predict they will happen in the future. It's not perfection, because perfection is the enemy of good. So, and it's like an obsession with the detail and, as we say, missing the wood for the tree, sometimes when we seek perfection. So it's a balanced approach. It's good. We need to make it work, and we need to make it work within the time and other resource limitations we have. We cannot design forever and for everyone to the optimum level. Work, of course, it's a very, very wide term and includes everything that we need, we interact with, and we receive as inputs also, or deliver as outputs during our occupational activities. And this can be hardware, it can be software, it can be the organizational expectations, procedures, could be our social environment, could be our colleagues, our peers, whoever, and whatever exists in the environment, and we are exposed to it or we interact with that. It constitutes the work. And the design, it doesn't mean to be, it's not about the deliverable as much as the journey. So the design concept means that it's not something random and stochastic, that we just go to work and we don't know what we're going to do, and we don't have, a specific order of doing things. We don't know what to do. So we need some form of order, design, but because it's design, it's not maybe the actual world. It has always there the space to question. There's some space to improve. There's space to redesign. So with design, in good work design, we don't mean any rigid deliverable, an outcome that is, inscribed in stone or marble, and we go ahead. It's more the journey of course, putting some order, agreeing on objectives and some ways to do our work and what we want to achieve, whose needs we're going to cover, and to what degree, what types of needs, how much space we have, and then this is what shapes into what we mean design. And it's something evolving, something alive. So put all those things together, good work design, and I think you can have a good understanding of what I understand.
So where does the human factors?
The human factor. Unfortunately, human factors have been linked only or mainly, so I don't want to be absolute, with safety in our mindset. So ergonomics, safety, human factor safety. Good work design has to do with the human at the center, with human performance, plus the organizational team performance and objectives. So the human is at the same time an individual that needs to fulfill some needs and, mobilize and use resources in a way that is fulfilling and enjoyable, but at the same time is accountable and responsible as member of a team, of a section, of a department, of a live organization that also has objectives. So here we're talking about the balance between my expectations and my appetite and what is good for the organization, for the system, for others around. Now, human factors here play a huge role because it's one, to my opinion, of the three critical disciplines that define how well a system works. And it's not only about safety, how well it operates regarding quality, security, efficiency, productivity, whatever someone wants to name. And why is that? Because it's the discipline dealing with interactions between people and their environment and so on. The other discipline, very important for work design, is the hygiene, occupational hygiene, which deals with exposures mainly. And the third one is the occupational health, which deals with individual characteristics and resilience and how people, individual habits and lifestyles can make all those nice designs and plans obsolete or, not functioning, not working. So human factors in work design is central because it's one of the disciplines where we advocate the human in the center, and human is the central and focal point of good work design. And this is why the concept of good work design, was born through the human factors and ergonomics discipline. Of course, other disciplines have design. We have engineering design, or we have the user experience design, or we have safety design. We have many different sort of designs, or also we will call the human factors design. But the good work design brings all those together under one umbrella. It's not about my good interaction with technology. It's not only about the quality of what I do. It's not only about the safety of what I do. It's not about how I feel, the experience. It's everything together.
Okay, what you talked about was that work is always changing. So if we design and we collaborate and we look at work as it's imagined, or we look at work as done, how do we address the ever-changing aspects of work?
That's a beautiful question. Thank you, Sharon. I'm a bit skeptical and a bit tired with gaps. We are a bit obsessed with gaps. We try to find differences. We try to find problems. We try to find issues. Okay. I would suggest that work as done, work as imagined is a nice concept, and it's enough to mobilize us, think, okay, why do we do different? But I think it's something more useful would be to reconcile and try to converge to see where we can come closer together. And I think it's valuable to consider work as agreed and work as possible. So because this includes a consultation, of course, part, which is important. This includes the acknowledgement of variability, the acknowledgement that things do not go to the plan and do not always conform to the design. And this also triggers us to have buffers in our designs, in our systems, and to understand that systems are not traveling through a line. They're quite different, variable, and turbulent journey that everyone, humans and the system itself, travel on. So I want to encourage us to think in a way that is less dividing, like managers and workers, department 1 and department 2, safety versus productivity, or efficiency versus quality. And I say this doesn't help anything. Everyone defends her place, his place, and we think, and we are right from our own perspective, but we need to do this collaboration a bit more transparently and effectively. I think we say consultation and we don't really consult with each other. We listen to each other. That's the first step, but we don't seriously take into account other perspectives. I think the word consultation, collaboration, participatory ergonomics hasn't been capitalized and really put in motion to the degree that we can be sure that the design that we have matches the context. Matches the politics? Yes. Matches the vision of a few people? I agree. Matches the background of Sharon and Nektarios. If an engineering background, they have an engineering flavor. If it's a management background, we'll have a more efficiency flavor, and if it's a social scientist background, it's more about relationships and trust and whatever. And that's the challenge. We don't consult. We do converse, we do discuss, but I don't think we really remain open to different approaches.
So how do we consult effectively then? Or how should we consult effectively?
Yeah, the effective consultation, it's not the process itself. It's not just getting around the table. It's about getting prepared mentally, maybe spiritually also, to be confronted, to listen and be ready not to defend what we believe. And we are entitled to what we believe, of course, but not to reject or accept what we hear, but how we can embrace in our own reality what we are exposed to. So we need to enlarge our bubbles, Sharon. This is how we can do effective consultation. We are still in our bubbles, which we bounce with each other. And in the middle, we have the solution, the challenge and the solution. And then we just put each of us a bit of an idea and, satisfies a specific requirement of our discipline. And this is the way we design things. And we are happy. We say it's a win-win situation. To me, it is a win-win situation, but it's not an effective situation. It's not a sustainable situation. We have the illusion of a win-win, which cannot stand the test of time, because we don't really embrace Sharon. Nektarios does not really listen to Sharon. Considers, thanks for your advice, thanks for your idea, we're going to put it here, but does not open his boundaries, his world, his bubble further to embrace Sharon. And what I mean, more specifically, not to sound very theoretical, it means that it doesn't have to be Sharon every time next to me to remind me of A. Embracing Sharon means that next time I'm going to think about design, about a specific application, I will consider Sharon in her absence.
The term workarounds, you've referred to that in your Ergonomics Insight chapter that you've written. How does that impact on work design or consultation?
Yeah. Workarounds do not impact design. They are part of the design. So we have a few options. One is to say that every workaround is unacceptable, meaning that we say our design is perfect. And this cancels any principle of dynamic environment and complexity in our systems, which is the reality. Okay. So we cannot, I would not accept this perspective, that workarounds are unacceptable. The second is we accept everything. And I say, as part of our design, we say, whatever you do, it's fine. It's fine. We have some rules, but you can do whatever you want. That's very risky. Why? Not because each of the workarounds is problematic. It's because we haven't assessed how cumulatively and how those interact within a system and how they can cascade and, propagate into something bigger that we never thought of before. So it's the uncontrolled alteration of the design. So let's be in the middle. Let's, first of all, be open, say, yes, we do workarounds, and I do workarounds every day. So I try to increase my productivity and my quality and efficiency in ways that also makes me feel creative. I did that in less time or whatever. So let's accept workarounds as a reality. Let's ask people not to report the workarounds. No, just to share, not report. I don't like the word reporting. It's very formal. To share with us the workarounds, which in their experience, have this feeling that, I'm crossing some boundaries here and I need advice. It's of course, it needs trust. You need to trust people. And to trust people, you need to have people that are educated, are competent. And my problem with the workarounds when I was back in the defense sector was not the workaround by somebody with 20 years of experience. Although, of course, overconfidence can have a detrimental effect here. But it was that the person with performing the workaround was visible by a person with a year of experience. And the workaround was automatically becoming the norm of that person without experience. Is that bad? Yes and no. Why? Because the person with experience that does the workaround probably, or it's more probable, that if things do not go well, have the experience and resilience and the skills to some degree to bring the system back to normal, to recover from another situation. If this happens to a person with 6 months, 1 year, or 2 years of experience, most probably will just run away and let the system collapse. So, yes, workarounds are part of the design. It's not about impacting the design, but because the design is fluid and must match the experience and skills and capabilities and capacities of different people, we must be wise and careful with what sort of workarounds we accept, how we control this variability, the workarounds of variability into the system, and whom we trust, to what degree and what magnitude of design changes to make. It's a hard equation, and there's no optimal solution. But I was trying hard for 2 years when I was a chief engineer, and that was my job there, to control variability. It was not my job to design. The work was designed already. We have the procedures, we have the maintenance manuals, we have the equipment. It was not, everything was designed, but my job every day was to understand, to discuss about this variability and see how we can make it work in a way that is not harmful for the system and benefits both individuals and the system.
How did you explain to your employer that there needed to be change?
Of course, as I explained in the chapter, I had to understand why it's happening, why we have this problem and what we can do together. So I didn't decide any change of the design myself. I consulted openly and honestly with my colleagues. Now, the persuasion or the sharing of the problem and the solution to my seniors was very simple and quite structured as an engineer. So I told them, guys, this is what the manual says. This is what it assumes. I don't have what the manual assumes, but I still have to do what the manual says because it's a safety critical task, okay? So from a work design perspective, the design is good as written in the book, but I don't have the resources to run your design. So I contemplated with here my colleagues and we say, we can perform the same. We can satisfy the design requirements and the intent of the design by changing one or two things. And we assessed, we didn't see any risk, any side effect. We don't disturb anything into the system. Contrary, actually, we make the system safer and more efficient at the same time. And this is what I reported. And the reaction was, of course, who are you to change our procedures? It goes on the phone, the director of maintenance. And at least, I don't know how it happens in other organizations, but when you pick the phone, at least when I was picking the phone, it was my first name, Nektarios, it was a friendly phone call. If the same person now we're talking about, you're picking the phone, I would say, Mr. Karanikas, I'll say, oh my God, now it's coming, So that was a Mr. Karanikas phone call from the director of maintenance and say, oh, who you are, you change the procedures and we don't have approval from the tactical level, and say, yes, I agree. I really understand your position, but I will not sacrifice the safety and, well-being of the persons here. Whereas I have a nice solution there that I already reported. Do you have any alternative to help me run your design safely and efficiently? There was no response. Just somebody hung up the phone. The director hung up the phone. The good thing is that since then, I never received a command like, do not do it. Do not proceed. Because who's gonna now instruct you to go back to the bad design where you have shown with evidence that design was not proper and that you have another way to meet once more the intent and the requirement of the design. Sharon, as I said before, design is not a deliverable. Design is a concept, is a vision put on paper and on procedures and, hardware and software, whatever, but it's a design. And the design never, almost I would say, never meets 100% all conditions of a system. That's why we need to understand the intent of the design, what we want to achieve with this design. We need to know why this design does not include A or B and includes C and D. That's good. Now, in many systems, we don't have a single architect to know the design, and things emerge. This is where we have more of emerging designs, not rigid ones. And things can get quite messy sometimes, I admit. And very challenging when we're talking about different ways of doing work. As long as the intent remains the same and we open and we remain open and we share what we do, how we do, and what risks this can have, and understanding the people next to us, the departments left and right, then I think we are on track, on the right track, not the perfect one. It's good work design. It's not perfect work design.
You've mentioned procedures and you've mentioned what are prescribed procedures, and the safety world likes prescribed procedures and they like checklists. How do we enable people to identify where change is required, but make sure that the changes that they implement or the changes that they are planning on implementing don't compromise the system?
First of all, the tradition of procedures and rules comes from engineering. I'm an engineer. And from a safety engineering perspective, you need those. So when we're talking about process safety, indeed, you need to have specific procedures, how you connect things, how you test it, how you maintain, and whatever. Now, and actually in those complex mechanical systems, when we're talking about major changes or design, it's only the designer, the manufacturer that can really give an approval. Why? Because when you don't have the knowledge of the whole system, how things interact, how things, as we said before, cascade, the effects or any other ramifications, then it's and we're talking about safety critical energy sources, then you say, no, I cannot undertake this responsibility. So anyway, we have some procedures there. Now, the problem is that we inherited the safety engineering approach to occupational health and safety. And we're confused and we think that occupational health and safety is process safety translated into occupational activities, where we have one additional element, which is the social element. The process safety doesn't have the social element, doesn't have the human element. The human for process safety is a problem. It is, the error into the system, which is fine. I mean, from a reliability perspective, when you do safety engineering, process safety, yes, humans are not opportunities. So you put now the system into the occupational setting, and occupational health and safety. Now, procedures and rules. What procedures and rules do you have in occupational health and safety? Setting that are parts of the design. Are they health and safety rules, first of all, or we're talking about rules, how to do the work in a specific way in order to create efficiencies into the system, to minimize productivity losses, and to ensure outcomes that are of good quality, products or services. So is it a health and safety problem, the procedures? Too many procedures in the work design? No, it's not. It's only health and safety problem when it comes once more to process engineering. So it's an organizational problem. The fact that we use safety as a gate and the proxy to improve organizations is another story, which we can discuss in another, opportunity. That's why in the work design, you don't look only what the health and safety department expects. You don't look only what the quality department expects, the compliance department or whatever. You look what we need to deliver, what capacities we have, what skills and competencies we have, and what we can do, and how we can bring all those together. Each single department, if we're talking about the large organizations, have their own understanding and vision of the perfect work. That's why they try to put everything in handbooks and guidelines. Back in my in the defense sector, we had security department, quality departments, everyone's had handbooks, which were great, but it was great only if you would do work to produce quality. If they were great only if you would produce work to, do work to produce efficiencies or productivity. When you put all those together, all those perfections together, they clash. So in good work design, you need to get a more of an umbrella perspective and question every system element, including the procedures and rules, equally, without prejudices and, preoccupied in favor or against organizational objectives. And I talked with health and safety professionals a few weeks ago, and I told them, about those procedures and rules we have that we name health and safety. Say, what are those really? Is it how to report an event? Is it how to do a risk assessment? Yes. Is it how to connect equipment and perform your job? Yes. We need to ask ourselves, which of those serve health and safety, and which ones of those serve the safety department? Which rules and procedures protect or minimize the probability of harm, and which of those really have the aim to satisfy my vision how a good safety management system is, which serves nothing about health and safety on the shop floor. Now the work design needs to go to the safety department and say, guys, this is the work design you envisage, but here it has effects. What do you really need? How we can simplify things together. How we can do your work. We can help you do your work without burdening too much, others. How can we bring you with perfection, with the good work design? There are always holes in the systems, Sharon. Nobody can fully predict and fully control, especially large systems. It's a waste of resources even to try to perfect systems or perfect our departments and our objectives. That's the problem. And there's another paper we're about to publish about a lack of understanding about integration and about bringing things together. Good work design is integration, is reconciliation. So we check business courses, whether they have anything to do about any unit, about health and safety across Australia. We're talking about 177, I think, business courses. Only a few had a few units regarding health and safety. And we checked health and safety courses, whether they discuss about integration. No integration, at least in the unit outlines. I don't know what is delivered in reality. Meaning that we're siloed. We read the books, we go to universities, we go to professional development courses, and we discuss about openness and transparency and consultation and hearing to each other, and we are still in our silos. We don't want to, because we need to challenge ourselves, Sharon. Good work design is challenging perfection, challenging full control, acknowledging that no design will be perfect. We just have good. We compromise. And for some reason, the head of Department A, the people from Department B do not want to compromise, do not understand that compromise is inevitable. And that's why, let's go back to workarounds. That's why we have workarounds. Because workarounds are the compromises that we should have already designed into the system that we envisage as the perfection of whatever idea we had back then.
You've mentioned some great words in here. You've talked about work and the cascading of work. Just go back there for a moment. What does that look like?
The cascade of work. I mean here that whatever we do in an occupational setting doesn't happen in isolation from ourselves and others around. So the way we approach work, it reflects, I think, who we are, what we bring, how we slept yesterday, whether we have an argument or not, how we're going to interact with others around, how much flexibility and control we're going to afford to others around, how much we're going to trust others around, how much we understand that we rely on the others around. And leaving the individual level of work, how the work cascades and the way the appetite and the energy and whatever, we demonstrate when we do our work, including the workarounds and how creativity and how clever and, we are, then this has cascade effects to others around. Then when we're talking about teamwork and collaborative work, we're talking about cascade effects about the next department and the next team. We're talking about good work design in one operational section. Then we're talking about, cascade effects to other sections. That's why in a paper we now prepare with Sarah and Elise, Dr. Sarah Puzzle and Dr. Elise Crawford, we say that good work design is not just the journey to discover, design, and get the results, to realize the design. It is about building the capabilities and capacities of people to continue designing within organization, across organization, to exchange ideas and good practices, to cascade work design all around. It's not about let's design this workstation. Yes, it is design, but it's not the workstation itself, how it looks like at the end of the process. It's the process itself and the engagement. It's about how others will see the way we approach the design, the way we discovered opportunities or we identified challenges, the way we experimented with things, the way we realized the design that cascades and builds this capacity to receive the good work design as a concept and approach, a philosophy, and the capability and the skills, of course, to design well. Not everyone can be a good designer. Altogether, we can have good designs.
What are the greatest challenges for the current HFE professionals working in work design, from your perspective?
It's to take the others on board and to use the correct language. We must be careful with the audience. We have our, slang and terminology in human factors and ergonomics that not others can understand. You don't have to use the word good work design. If they don't know it, it's fine. You can use phrases like, let's create together a work environment that, everyone enjoys to the degree possible, and we still give to the organization what they expect to us, what they pay for us to do, and, to make it sustainable and viable so we can have this work design for long and, enjoy the benefits. So you don't have to use terminology. You don't have to say ergonomics. You don't have to say human factors. You don't have to say cognitive, physical, participatory. No, don't use those words. That's just go there and use plain language and let gather people around and say, would like to do that, to get that. As simple, if people see the value and the energy of the human factors professional, and the spirit of bringing things together, the systems thinking, the appreciation, acknowledgement, they will buy in, they will follow you. When I was discussing changes, when I was a chief engineer back in the defense sector, people were listening to me and saying, we're not sure, but because it's you, we're going to try.
Thanks for joining us at the Human Factors and Ergonomics Hub, brought to you by the Human Factors and Ergonomics Society of Australia, where human-centred design really matters. If you like this podcast, make us your favourite in your podcast app. We look forward to chatting with you next time.